supper and a mother at the best place around. Some stupid with a flare gun burned the place to the ground. Smoke on the water, a fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. No food sound. Funky and Claude was running in and out, pulling kids out of the ground. But when it all was over, we had to find another place. Swiss time was running out. It seemed that we would lose the race. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. Smoke on the water.
Buonasera amici miei italiani e buonasera a tutti I fans. Benvenuti al mio programma Rudi Backstage in the middle of packing chaos. Questo sarà una dinamite show, un spettacolo esplosivo. Ladies and gentlemen, in the middle of packing chaos now, a Rudi Backstage program. I have no other choice. And I think it's quite interesting. It's Backstage of Backstage. Meine Damen und Herren, willkommen mitten im Packchaos, hier mitten meines Irrsinns, für alle Zuseher in Österreich, Deutschland und der Schweiz. Und es wird eine sehr spezielle Folge. Es geht wieder um Queen-Videos, in diesem Fall jetzt um ein Freddie Mercury-Video. Und ich sage auch natürlich an meine Freunde in Frankreich, wenn ich denn das Plattel finde. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs, à tous mes amis et fans français et francophones. Bienvenue dans mon émission Rudi Backstage. Il y a une packing chaos. Restez avec moi und c'est buenas noches a todos mis amigos españoles y a todos los fans. Bienvenido a mi programa Rudi Backstage, Chaos, Packing, esto será una dinamite show, un spettacolo esplosivo, and I say, yes I say, yes I say, the magic word, backstage.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudi, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen.
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage.
All you ever want.
Backstage.
All you ever need.
Backstage.
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited. Backstage, they've laid on everything.
Backstage. This time, it's Backstage of Backstage. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in my packing chaos. In the middle. It's supposed to be. Let me change this a little bit. It's supposed to be the rest of my office, but it actually looks more like a warehouse. But today, this is another episode of Rudi Backstage, and I'm going to tell you another story of one of my Queen videos, actually a Freddie Mercury solo video. Today we talk about time. And when I'm packing, there's a lot of things that I find, and some of those things mean a lot to me. Of course, there's a lot of Queen books and Freddie Mercury books. This is by Peter Hintz, for example. He was always called Ratty, if I'm not mistaken. My Life with the Greatest Rock Band of the 20th Century, Queen Unseen. I quite like the book. It's something. It's an interesting part, and it's an interesting angle. And this, of course, is one of my favorites. This is from my dear friend Peter Freestone. It's Freddie Mercury Royal Recipes. Peter Freestone presents more than 100 recipes. I've shown it quite a few times. I think it's a wonderful book. If you don't have it, you must have it, even if you're not a Queen fan, because there's really, really nice recipes in there for cooking. Remember last week I was trying to do a recipe of my Rudi Backstage salad, but that's nothing against what Peter here has to offer. Then there is Matt Richards and Mark Langingthorne, Somebody to Love. I don't know the people, and I always have problems with people who write books who didn't really know him very well, but because I was doing one, I was going through all this. And this, of course, is a beautiful picture by my friend Mick Rock. And there's also a lot of pictures of Mick Rock in here. It's called Freddie Mercury, A Kind of Magic by Mark Blake. But the really nice thing about it are the photographs of Mick Rock. Mick Rock, as you know, and he is in quite a few of my Queen documentaries. He was really a great photographer of the time. He still is. But he did iconic photographs of Queen and Freddie Mercury. And so let me try to get a little bit more comfortable here. Oops. And tell you how I started with time. Now, of course, I mean, I have not to mention that, of course, I have finished my Freddie Mercury book, My Friend Freddie. Many of you have pre-ordered it. I said it in a few media interviews, but I would like to repeat that. There is a few things. There is a very special idea that I came up with in order to shorten the waiting time, because I'm a fan also, or was a fan before I became a music filmmaker, and quite a lot of you have given me the trust and said, okay, I'm going to pay $10 for the autographed signed book by me, or maybe even the $15 for the so-called VIP package. And now it's not coming. Why? Because it's in the middle of production. Yes, it's finished writing, but there's a lot of things to decide. I come to that later in a moment. So I thought, what can I do to those people who paid it weeks or even months ago, many of you, and are waiting? So again, you will be part of an exclusive club where I'm going to do live streaming of me reading the book in various languages. Don't forget, my book is coming out in 11 languages. You can all go to my website, www.myfriendfreddy.com, www.myfriendfreddy.com, and you can do three things with pre-ordering. Number one, you secure that you are the first who get the book when it's printed. The first people will be those who pre-ordered through my website. Full stop. You are privileged. Number two, you get an autographed book, which will only be available through my website. It will not be available in any other outlet. Not on Amazon, not in the shops, no. And I just have to kill the phone here. Yes. Give me a moment. I would have to find it. Here we go. And if I can make it. Oh God, here we go. And by doing so, you get an autographed version, or maybe even a dedicated version from the VIP package, where you can choose what I'm writing in your book. So if this was my book, whatever is there in the front, you can choose if you go to my website, myfriendfreddy.com. Also the language, as long as I can write it. I'm not so good in Mandarin and Japanese, but any other language I do, in French, even in Russia, if you make it for me. So you get something very special. Number 3, you're part of this club. This club gets to me to read and learn of chapters, because I haven't read any chapters. I have read parts of the foreword. Yes, on my show. I have also read parts of the foreword in other shows and in media, on platforms, on television, etc., but only little parts. The chapters, nobody has heard anything apart from the inner circle of my book and of my book team. So you're part of that too. So these are 3 advantages for everybody who hasn't done it, or who has a friend who hasn't done it. You could still say, you know what, I think these $10 are well invested. So that's what I wanted to say. And of course, I said it the last time, there will be a special social-minded action of mine where 10 people who, and in this time we have that do not have $10, but would die to have to also be part of this club that gets to the streaming. If you write me an email to backstage.rudyfans@gmail.com, I repeat, backstage.rudyfans@gmail.com, why you cannot pay the $10, I will pick 10 people who have not pre-ordered, who are also part of the exclusive club. And in the last time on my live chat on YouTube, a very, very great Queen fan said, well, she will buy for those people also 10 books. So they not only can watch the streaming, they also physically get a book. But you have to explain why and what your situation is. I don't want to make this into a joke. This is meant that in times where a lot of people are losing jobs, a lot of people do not know how the future is, that we know how everything goes on. Now, going to time. The thing with time was the following. First of all, what not many people know is, and I just ruined my reading glass, which is of course great because it was my last reading glass. Okay, here we go. You were live on stage because I wanted to sit on the floor. Irena Sedlečka was doing for the musical Time, the sculpture of Laurence Olivier, who was speaking in the play but not physically present every night. So, and she also has therefore a part in the Time video. I have to explain something up front so that you understand. We're talking of a time where television was really, really very important. There was no social media, there was no internet, there was no emails even, yeah? Some of the time in the beginning, when I started working for Queen, there wasn't even mobile phones. So the BBC in England, the British Broadcasting Corporation, had, and I think still has, a show called Top of the Pops, which was the show you want to be on if you want to sell a lot of records in the UK. So, and they had a rule. Every song that enters the top 30 has the right the next week, as far as I understand, only the next week, that the video is shown in full length. So I got a call from my dear friend Jim Beach, and he says, Rudi, you have to come to London. I said, oh yeah, sure. When? He says, well, today. I mean, I was in Vienna in my office. I said, well, today? I mean, what is so urgent? He said, yeah, you have to come to London. The following thing happened. As you know, Freddie was doing 2 songs for Dave Clark's musical Time. Dave Clark and Freddie were also friends, close friends. In my defense, where I also later did the video, was one song, and Time, the title song, was also something by Freddie Mercury. And he said, well, we didn't expect it, but Time, the song Time, sung by Freddie Mercury for Dave Clark's musical Time, entered the charts in the top 30. So you must do a video, and you have exactly 7 days. 7 days from today it has to be finished. This is something which is like the nightmare. Yeah, I mean, I was cooking last week in the kitchen, but I was always calling it instant art, like instant coffee. Yeah? I couldn't use an instant coffee, by the way, but there is no coffee around anyway, since I'm sort of here on my own. So, first of all, there was no concept. Second of all, there was very limited time. So I did go the same day to London, and we had a meeting in the Dominion Theatre, which was the home of the musical Time. Now, Dave Clark was the creator of the musical. As you know, also other people contributed songs. Stevie Wonder, Cliff Richard was playing the main part, at least for the first year, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe even longer. And it was a big success in London. So what could we do? So anyway, the only way that Freddie and I came up with that was realistic, because don't forget, you have to film it, or if you have to organize it, you have to get the crew together, you have to then film it, and then you have to edit it, and all that in 7 days from the moment when I'm going into a plane in Vienna to London to the finished master, which of course I edited it in London, if I'm not mistaken, with the wonderful Tim Waddell in Golden Square, number 22 in London. That was the edit suite, where also the production company MGMM with David Mallet and Russell Mulcahy, who also directed to Queen with David Mallet, directed a lot of Queen and Freddie videos. They had their post-production there, and it was called 22 Golden Square. We've edited there. So first of all, we had to come up with a concept. What do you do? So Freddie and I went through the Dominion Theatre, and I let them show me all the effects, the stage effects that they had during the musical, which was something like 2 hours. And there was, you could come from downstairs, and there was, various lights possibilities, and as I said, the head of Laurence Olivier and things like that. So finally, Freddie and I decided that we use all the effects, or the best of them, in 3 minutes on the stage of the music. Okay, so then the creative part was decided. Now came the practical part. Because we got of course, the allowance and the permission, the permit through Dave Clark of the Dominion Theatre, which wasn't that easy because there's unions, especially in the UK, and there's, it's always a headache, but we solved it. with the help of everybody. But the thing was that they had a show each night. And on Saturdays and Sundays, they even had 2 shows because they were doing a matinee on the afternoon. So in other words, in order to make the show happen, which I'm not mistaken, always started at 8 p.m., we had to be out by 5 or 5:30 p.m. So after we decided we would do it in the Dominion Theater, that was one of the toughest time schedules I had in my life. Again, the wonderful Barry Wasserman was the first assistant director, one of the greatest film professionals in the world. He's an American who lives in London. And so we had to start super early. And that's something that I always say. Of course, Freddie was on time. We started ridiculously early because he has to obviously go into makeup and this and that, and it takes also a lot of time, and wardrobe and what have you. And but for the real big stars, when you say be there at 5:30 in the morning a.m., they are there because they know otherwise we're fucked. So Freddie was very disciplined. He was not a diva. He was a very, very great professional in every respect, and as you know, a great human being. And I say this over and over again because it's so true, and it's also very important for everybody to know who hasn't known him personally. So the other thing that we came up with was to have a choir, which also was placed on stage. And we created, so to say, a situation. I mean, especially the opening, I remember there was a super light situation where Freddie was centered. And then I also included, thanks to Dave Clark, some of the visuals that were played in and shown in the actual musical. So, you know, there's a transition, there's a dissolve from things which sort of looks out of space or something like that. At least, I mean, we are talking 80s. I mean, today, some of that looks, of course, dated. But I think it's still a very strong video because we decided to, very often, to make, or I decided, to make a what seems to be a disadvantage into an advantage. So, since we don't have a story, we don't have the time for 3 or 4 shooting days to come up with something which would, you know, be like a little feature film, which we have done in other videos. I think of Invisible Man, or think of other videos which had a great production value and many days of shooting and filming. This is one of the songs and the videos where Freddie is carrying the whole load, and he does it brilliantly. He does it brilliantly. I think it's a really, really intriguing, great video, and I'm very, very proud of him. He was in excellent shape, and he was very, very also happy with the results. Yeah. In my book, there is a whole chapter called 11 against 1 or something like that. I haven't decided on the final title, and it includes that the discussion that was going on in the so-called Time Suite, which was a very classy, a big room that Dave Clark had, because obviously he was there every night in the Dominion Theater the whole time, which was at least a year when the musical was shown, and pretty wild things happened in that Time Suite that afternoon, evening. But as always, darlings, I have to keep a few things to my book because I got already remarks not only from my publishers but also from friends that, Rudi, you're telling so many stories. I mean, what is there left? But I'm guaranteeing you there is a lot of left for the book, My Friend Freddie. So now, being here in the packing chaos, this, for example, is Benny Ruby Kids Memorabilia. This is stuff that I found. I mean, this is, for example, a ruby with rather small legs. This is something when ruby, no, it was penny actually. This is penny. This is, I mean, you cannot imagine it because today they are 17 and 14. But I'm not throwing this away. I'm keeping this, and actually I spoke to the mother of my children, and I offered her that we divide it in half. You know, for a dad, when the boys were still, some of that they can today wear as a glove, you know. But there's also things like that, of course, that were very important, or of course things like that that I'm not throwing away because it's memorabilia. Also, it's a really cool T-shirt. Look at that. Somebody sponsored me already. Okay. This is something of the early years, and the shoes get smaller and smaller. And oh yeah, that's also great. What is this? I think it's the first hard rock T-shirt for one of the two gangsters. I call them gangsters because they sometimes behave like gangsters, and of course, things like that. So you see, oh yeah, this is also nice. This was swim. This was for swimming, you know. But look at that! Isn't that sweet? Atlantis, yeah, which is a great place, by the way. And of course, things like that. So that's in one of these. Then there is memorabilia in other ways, of course, in rock and roll and other things. I have a whole thing about film festivals. Here, for example, the 46th annual International Film Festival in Houston, 2013, was called Killer Flicks. Yeah, I won something there, I remember. Also, yeah, that's something which actually is controversial. But Che Guevara, to me, is not a murderer. Che Guevara, to me, was, and don't forget, I studied politics, was a freedom fighter. And whatever happened afterwards in Cuba is maybe a different story, although I've been to Cuba many times. And of course, we have a lot of diving stuff and other stuff that is very, very important to me. So as you can see, oops. Here in the back we have some gold records. We have a Whitney Houston poster. We have, well, I could actually show you this. This is something that Eric Clapton gave me as a very special thing. It's a miniature guitar signed by him, a Martin guitar, a limited edition. Unfortunately, we only did some documentary work, and the big documentary on his life. Unfortunately, I was not in the States, so I couldn't do it. And that's something which is a great memorabilia for me. That's why I framed it. The 2009 Bad Company with Paul Rodgers and the original members of Mick Rolfes and Simon Kirke. They did a reunion concert, which I filmed in Hollywood. And then they did a reunion tour in June and July 2009. And that was the official tour poster. Yeah. What else do we have here? Oops. Well, this is my friends of the Rolling Stones again. It's a special calendar they gave me. Let's see what. I mean, the Rolling Stones are very clever on merchandise. That's of the year 2018. Has quite a lot of interesting old and new photographs. Brian Jones, for those who remember who that was. Mr. Rock Guitar, Keith Richards. Besides Freddie Mercury, one of the most influential performers of all time, Mick Jagger. He's actually the quiet but very, very important part of the Rolling Stones, Charlie Watts. In my opinion, he still holds the band together. And that's my dear friend, Ronnie Wood, who is also, as you know, a great painter, artist, and visual artist. And it's very nice. Here is something, again, a memorabilia. Billy Joel invited me. That was December 31st, 2017. In Florida, there was he had a few years a New Year's Eve concert where he started in the old year and was playing into the new year, something which other people copied later, and this was, I think, the first or the second. I've been there, and that's something completely different. But when I was around the world for my Whitney documentary, and I was at the Toronto, in Toronto for the film festival, the Niagara Falls, or Niagara Falls, as we say in Europe, are not very far away, and I had to see them. And this is one of the photographs that I think it's a little bit plastic, so it has some reflections. So you can actually see that this is family photos, a whole box back there. There's a lot of things that obviously are important. And so I hope you liked it. We're gonna go on with one video per backstage. What I want to do is, I thought this is now going to be a series. Yeah, I did 32 Queen videos, so I'm going to do basically 32 programs and about all the Queen-related videos, including the solo videos, like today, the video Time of Freddie Mercury. As you know, there was Brian May, Driven by You. There was my dear friend Roger Taylor with Happiness or Power to Love, etc. But I will also do, after a few Queen videos, always one video of a different artist. So Falco, Rolling Stones, Whitney Houston, Peter Maffay, also German or Austrian or whatever, as long as there is some relation to my international followers as well. So do write me of which videos, Queen or non-Queen, you would like me to talk next. And make it, you can decide which ones I pick. You know, the first ones I picked from certain criterias. The one where when I cooked in the kitchen was one where I did already talk a little bit, so I gave you the extra thing of a Rudi Backstage salad, which, by the way, a lot of people are asking for the recipe. It's really, really good. Yeah, it's the only thing I invented. I'm not planning of having a career as a cook. Peter Freestone is much better cook than me. But on the other hand, what I also wanted to say is that for my book, for My Friend Freddie, I decided that, and that was a spontaneous decision in one of my live chats, as you know, on YouTube, on my Doro TV, on my YouTube channel. At the usual time, you still have what I call the backstage experience. I'm chatting live with all of you who are participating for the whole time of the show and a little bit earlier. The cover, I will make 3 designs by 3 different artists. And the fans, so you, will choose which cover will finally be the cover of My Friend Freddie. So this is a democratic book in many ways. And don't forget, you pre-order, you also can listen to the streaming. soon where I'm reading good parts of the book in different languages. Yeah, I'm going to do German, I'm going to do English, I'm going to do French, Italian, and Spanish. Thank you so much. Welcome to my chaos world. This was Backstage of Backstage, we could have called it. And I say thank you very much. Please be with me next week. Rudi Backstage, as always, on Sundays. No Sunday, every fucking Sunday. I stay safe, stay human, love and respect, and I love you all.
You wanna know what goes on backstage? Oh, come on. Let me take you by the hand. Ow!
Rudi, are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen,
The way I see it, Barry, this should be a very dynamite show.
You know, I have no idea what the name of this program is, but you're watching it.
Backstage,
All you ever want,
backstage,
all you ever need.
backstage.
Your dreams will be fulfilled once you are there. You'll never wanna leave. You wanna sell your ass for that backstage pass. Backstage is just for the invited. Backstage.